Here now with perhaps a conflicting point of view is Jen Deerinwater. She is the founding executive director of Crushing Colonialism. What is your response to his comments?
Well, the first thing I need to say is that this is not something that happened hundreds of years ago or 3 or 4 generations ago. The last residential school was closed in 1990 in Canada, and we also have boarding schools in the U.S., which also closed in the 1980s and 90s. This is not an issue from generations ago, not that that would excuse it. This is something that has happened very recently. You know, our children are still being stolen from us by the state in a variety of ways. So I just have to say, everything Tim said last night was blatantly racist. It was vile as an Indigenous person to have to hear that.
To be clear, though, and maybe just to clear it up even for myself, the mass graves that we're speaking of, that did not happen in the 1990s, correct?
No,
Okay.
the mass graves were earlier, but I want you all to understand, as well as your audience, that this is not something that happened 100+ years ago. We still have residential and boarding school survivors that are alive today. You know, these are things that have still happened within my own lifetime.
And let me ask you the question then that I asked him, because look, I'm Catholic. And I understand that my church, like many churches throughout our times, have committed mistakes. In some cases, it is historic. How can we come together and say, oh my goodness, we screwed up? How do we mitigate this? How do we find a middle ground now? Is it even possible?
There is no middle ground when it comes to genocide. To say that this is merely a mistake that's a gross misrepresentation of what it is. It's blatant genocide. It's genocide that has never ended for Indigenous people.
So what do we want done? What is your solution? What do we do about it at this point?
Well, I mean, in terms of Catholic churches, or
in general. So should we burn the churches? Or you're not for that, are you?
I am for tribal sovereignty and the right to self-determination. I believe that the people who know what they best need are Indigenous people, and it is our tribal nations that should make the decisions on what we need.
Well, you know what? This is a great conversation. I'm glad we had you on. We wanted to be really fair about this. That's why we wanted to give you a chance to give your point of view. And you are a delightful guest. Thanks so much for joining us, for taking us through this perspective. And I'm glad we were able to share it with people all over the world. Thank you so much once again. Appreciate it.